Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we have Ring of Honor featuring various matches, of course. We have a Proving Ground match for the ROH Pure title. We even have, of course, an 8-person tag match. MXMTV versus Skyflight, and various other matches as well. And then, of course, we move on with TNA. So, as you probably know, we are still coming off after Bound for Glory. It's been a while, but however, a lot of things have taken place. We do hear from Mike Santana, our TNA World Champion. We even have, of course, Kelani Jordan defending the TNA Knockouts World title against someone from the Elegance brands. So we're going to see various things taking place as well. But as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers, let's get to it. So, let's begin with our very first review, and that is, of course, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor, we opened up with the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum, teaming up with Dalton Castle. They take on a couple of course, enhancement wrestlers, and that is, of course, Zach Mason, Warner Jackson, and Savage King. Now, when it comes to these type of matches, it's no secret that this one was going to go fall into favor to the Outrunners and Dalton Castle, which it did, of course. This match ended with Dalton Castle applying the bangarang onto Warren Jackson, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. However, one thing that was interesting is that the commentators mentioned that there is the possibility that these three men can in fact challenge for the ROH World 6-Man Tag Team titles. So the real question is, when will that happen? We'll just have to wait and see how far they progress. Now, our next match, we have the Spanish Announce Project, SAP, Angelico and Serpentico, taking on, of course, the members of the Don Callis family, Rocky Romero and Hechicero. Now, of course, we all know exactly there's going to be some great moments with Angelico and Hechicero. They have done some submission techniques. Of course, we've seen that coming from both sides. But the real question is who's going to walk out. Unfortunately, in this one, Serpentico was the one who ended up on the wrong side of the Cobra Clutch by Hechicero. And of course, just like that, he had no choice but to tap out. Now we jump into a QTV segment, of course. As you probably know, QTTV is teaming up with Big Boom AJ to take on RPG Vice of the Don Callis family at the tailgate brawl happening, of course, during Full Gear. But of course, QT Marshall's willing to admit, look, we're not friends, but we have the same common enemy, which is obviously will work out fine. But of course, later was announced by Harley Cameron that she'll be facing Athena for the ROH Women's World Title, and she had a few things to say. She said that she was willing to admit that may not be the fan favorite, but she's willing to go the distance. So we'll see how things will progress. This match will happen next week. Now, our next match, we have Billy Starks and our current Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena taking on Maya World and High End. So as you all know, we've seen these two ladies already teamed up before. Now they're facing this team. However, of course, Athena decided to pretend that Maya World is none other than Harley Cameron, as to send a message straight up to her, which of course may have played out pretty well in her favor, because it was the Cucho clutch onto Maya World by Athena, and just like that is over, sending of course a direct message to Athena, telling her that she does not have what it takes and that she's nothing more than a big hussy stepping in her ring. So we'll see what happens until then. Now our next match, we have of course Swirl, consistent of Lee Johnson and Blake Christian, taking on Vin Parker and Will Alday. Now of course, like the earlier match with Dalton Castle and the Outrunners, it's no secret that this match was going to fall in favor to Swirl, which they did, but they applied a brand new combination with a kick and a brainbuster onto, I believe was Alday, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now our next match, we have Aaron Solo versus Lance Archer. Now for those who may not know this, Aaron Solo is now a current target by the Don Callis family because of his association towards QT Marshall. As you all know, the Don Callis family are determined to hurt those close to him. However, Aaron Solo did whatever it takes to, of course, to withstand. But of course, like any other match involving the Don Faggot family, of course, Don Callis, Rocky Romero gets involved, helping him out, and of course, Lance Archer applied the blackout, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match is an 8-person mixed tag match. We have MXMTV, consistent of Mason Madden, Mansoor, Tail Valkyrie, and Johnny TV, taking on Sky Flight, consistent of Darius and Dante Martin, Lila Gray, and of course a Scorpio Sky. So of course it was going to be a fantastic match. And now of course, if those who may not remember, there has been some history between both Top Flight and MXM Collection in the past. It was a great moment, but now it seems like they may get a bit of a revenge on this one. But unfortunately, they ended up losing, all thanks to Darius pinning Mansoor, and just like that, it was over. However, out of nowhere, Shane Taylor Promotions earlier, who were watching this, decided to sneak attack and beat up Skyflight right in there. And of course, Tail Valkyrie took out Layla Gray. So we don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm sure Skyflight will declare war on them. Now, our main event is a proving ground match for the ROH Pure title. Lee Moriarty faces against Willie Mack. Now, Willie Mack may not have a great experience in this type of segment, but he was willing to step up his game no matter what. However, that didn't do so well until he ended up in the Border City stretch, and just like that, he tapped out. But however, as you all know, recently in a proving ground match, Commander survived. So that means he'll get his opportunity, and he even showed up. So we don't know when that'll happen, but stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we are officially done with Ring of Honor. Let's go on to TNA. Alright, TNA, we opened up. As you know, we were coming out weeks after, of course, almost a month from Bound for Glory. Now, of course, Mike Santana, who brought home the TNA World title when he defeated Trick Williams, made his presence known that he did exactly what he was going to do. Now, however, Mike Santana is no fool. As you all know, in every year when it comes similar to what we see with the um, how do I say, Money in the Bank briefcase. They have the Call Your Shot trophy, which is, of course, you can challenge for any title match, anytime, anywhere. And there was a co-winnership between Nick Bennett and Frankie Kazarian. So Mike Santana said to bring your A game on that. But however, of course, Nick Bennett, his younger brother, decided to take matters in own hand. But of course, Mike Santana was going to challenge him no matter what. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we did see an interview with Gia Miller talking to Kelani Jordan. Now, many of you may know Kelani Jordan is not well liked in the locker room because of where she's from, and not to mention of exactly what she did. I'm referring to, as you all know, she took out Jordan Grace in a bad way, but now she has to defend this title against, of course, Heather by Elegance. And of course, she was surprised by Mara Shade, Zaya Brookside, and Li Yingling. So we'll see how that rolls up from there. Now, Santino Marella, as you know, made his presence known, but he also called out the NXT general manager, Ava. But however, of course, we did see the liaison between both NXT and TNA, and that is, of course, Ariana Grace making their presence known. So it seems that there's some plans in the works. Now, we did see Dani Luna versus Indi Hartwell. No, these two ladies are no strangers to each other. Many of you may not remember, these two ladies fought off before in the past. So recently, as you all know, they were challenging for who will be challenging for the TNA Knockouts World title. And however, it was Indi Hartwell. But of course, Dani Luna snapped and lost her goddamn mind. And now it seems Indi Hartwell also snapped and used a chair, disqualifying herself. Now, they never specified if Dani Luna won, but I would say it could happen. But, however, of course, Dani Luna's not gonna play nice guy to anybody. So we'll see how that happens. Now, we did see a bit of a promo with the System. As you know, they came out on top, defeating the Order 4. And of course, every member of the System praises Alicia Edwards for what she did, and that's exactly what she did. A lot of praises were being made. However, JDC has announced that in January it will be his last time being with the System, and he said that he will not leave this group until a proper replacement happened. However, apparently the Rascals made their presence known. Myron Reed, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz. But however, they decided, look, we can't let this happen, JDC. Let's have a match. This is something we could definitely have, and that's exactly what happened. But however, there was only 3 of them. But of course, they mentioned they have a tag team partner who doesn't live that far away from where they were at. And just like that, a 4th member will be coming. Now, we did see, of course, the Order for making their presence known, especially Jason Hutch, who will be in action. However, they run into the Hardys is no secret now, and as you probably can guess, they're probably aiming for the TNA World Tag Team belts. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, we did see an interview with BDE by Gia Miller with BDE. As you all know earlier, he was attacked by AJ Francis, and of course he had some things to say, and of course someone like Leon Slater made his presence known, telling him that, you know, this is no secret. And then Rich Swann showed up, and then of course it seems that Leon Slater is pulling the X Division on the title on the line, so we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our matches, we have Jason Hotch versus Cedric Alexander. I thought this match was fantastic. However, of course, Cedric has to keep an eye out on John Skyler, Tasha Steelz, and Agent Moron, of course, being there. But luckily, he was able to survive when he applied the lumbar check onto on Hotch and just won. However, of course, Cedric Alexander ended up being beaten down, and then the Hardys showed up to save the day as always. So you probably can guess that they probably aiming the tag team belts. We'll see. Now, we did see, of course, a new signee, Milo Moore. Milo Moore, as you all know, she has not grown. She is a wrestler who just got into it in her later years, but we'll see how things will go from there. Our next match is for the TNA Knockouts World title. Kalani Jordan will defend it against Heather by Elegance. Now, this was a match that was started off by that little Chihuahua, who, of course, is determined to have the Elegant Brands get what they want. So basically, that's what it was. He even tried to interfere in this match, but it failed big time because there was a bit of a mix-up. And then just like that, 1, 2, 3, Kalani Jordan retained the belt with one of a kind, and it's over. And then, of course, speaking of the Knockouts title scene, we have the inspiration with their TNA Knockouts titles. They even put out a match at Turning Point against anybody. So we'll see how that goes. We did have Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and of course we have Li Ying Li and Zai Brooks, are known as the Angel Warriors, also stepping up their game. Now, we did see a little performance by Elijah. Well, apparently his performance was doing pretty good until he was interrupted by Mustafa Ali, who was not in a good mood after being humiliated. But of course, Mustafa Ali, losing his goddamn mind, attacked him. So we'll see how that goes from there. Our main event is for the TNA World Championship. So basically, Mike Santana will have to defend it against Brian Mennett. But however, at some point of the match, Nick Mennett showed up and he was attacked out of nowhere. And then, of course, the match ended in no contest, with all of a sudden NXT showed up out of nowhere and started attacking them, and that kind of sets it up right there. But out of nowhere, it was the most dumbest, ridiculous thing ever. Frankie Kazarian cashed in the trophy and became the new TNA World Champion, and this is total horse crap in some capacity. But it is what it is, so we'll see what happens until then. But as of right now, we are done with our reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. We have, of course, the collaboration between Wrestling Revolver and Arrival Wrestling with Wrestle Combat taking place on the 21st of November. We do have what they call a breakout scramble. We have Ryan Clancy versus Jody Ora versus a CPA versus Smiley versus Junie Underwood. Yes, that's the name. And then we have, of course, the West Coast Pro, the Winter Wonder Slam taking place on the 19th of December. We have the Young Men Dead versus Louis Molina, Jason Xavier, and Carmelo Romero. Don't know who these guys are. And then finally, a new show has been announced for New Year's Eve by GCW, Do or Die. So basic more names will be mentioned on that. Now let's move on to some developments. It was reported that Joe Hendry by Fightful Select is now officially signed with WWE. This is something that's been talked about on certain occasions, and looks like it's going to happen. Stephen Borden Jr., many of you know who he is. He is the son of the icon himself, Sting. Fightful Select reports that he'll be making his Defy debut on the 21st of November, and Aeon. It's still unclear who is he going to face, but we'll find out more. Now, this should have been like an upcoming event, but I decided to share the news with you. Many of you remember that they mentioned that Ric Flair will be in AEW, but apparently he wasn't feeling too well, so he had to leave early, which is kind of sad. Now, MVP talked recently about, how the AEW backstage is different from WWE, and this is what he said. Tony Khan is a lot more interactive and would take a lot of ideas, and he's more willing to playable when it comes to his vision. He's just a nice guy. He always happy. I had never seen him be mean to somebody. It's such a different environment where WWE is very corporate, very high, tight lens. For some people who even uncomfortable, and they're trying to feel like they're walking on eggshells, and people are scared of getting fired. The environment doesn't exist in AEW. It's more of relaxed. No one walking on eggshells. The boss has time for everyone, and it's super fun. No stress. So he kind of said that the locker room is a lot more different when it comes to WWE. So it would make sense. I mean, I did hear things like that before. So that's pretty much it what we have. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, well, I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. I'm behind on the Stardom Goddesses tag league, so we'll see how things progress. There is Turning Point by TNA. I may review that for Saturday, and I won't be releasing that video until Sunday morning. So we'll see how things will go. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.